Alright, that's looking pretty good. How well this is going to come out on video, but you can kind of get an idea of the wear. If you look at it from an angle, you can kind of see. These are the scraper marks from where the waves were hand scraped, and these actually help hold oil, and that's what the purpose of those are. And if you can see them really pronounced right in this area here, and then as you come down near the end here, they get really faint, and you can see there's some pretty heavy wear right there. And there's wear marks up to about here, and then this area right in here, like from this area over to almost here, it's almost like untouched. It's almost like the day it was new. And then it goes back to wear marks, and then down at the far end there, you're back to that almost an absence of those scraper marks. Same thing with the front. So that's just, indicative of the kind of uneven wear you're going to find on older mills. All right, I was just going to screw this wiper assembly and the plates that retain it to the back here, and realized that when I went to slide this up, that I put these on in the wrong order. So this plate's supposed to go on first. This plate's got a bevel to it, not a bevel, but a lip to it, and you can't have that lip up against there like that. It wouldn't make any sense, really. I know that this was the outer one. This one was the one that's supposed to be right up against it, so kind of messed up there, and I was like, uh-oh, now what do I do? But I just realized that there is a gap right here at the back of these ways, and I can just sneak that out like that. These, of course, piece of cake to take those off. Will this one fit? Yes, excellent. So I don't have to take the saddle off because of my mistake.
So, slide this back in and we just took it out. That goes up against there like that. And this wiper. And this wiper. And this goes in up against that whole mess.
And the little screws go in. So let me get those. Now with this back wiper plate assembly on, that actually covers where that pin sticks up, or that button sticks up on this. So now, when this comes forward, you'll see it grabs those plates like it should. Now, I gotta put the ones on the plate assembly on in the front, and that will cover. I'll show you that. So here you can see that button I'm talking about, and it goes in that slot right there. But when I put the wiper assembly on the front here, that's gonna cover that, so that when the saddle moves back, it'll grab this and push it. Alright, so the next step is I've got to get this nut assembly in there, and it's got these two pins that obviously have to line up, get into those holes, and then these are the 4 Allen screws. I know these are the right ones because I kept this with just its screws in its own separate container because I wanted to make sure that I didn't mess those up. So the only thing I'm not sure of is whether or not it makes a difference which way it goes in. There's a hole in the middle here that looks like it's not quite centered. Yeah, I don't know, I gotta check. That hole is where the automatic oiler injects its oil. So if that's not centered between these two pins, and I put this in wrong, then I might have a problem where the oil's not getting in there, so I better check that. So let's see. What's the distance between these two? Alright, the distance between the two pins looks like it's, we'll call that, yeah, 25 thousandths. What is that? 1.3, yeah, 1.325. Well, I'm not going to divide that by 2. Let's just do this a different way. Let's do the math. Let's do this easier. Let me just eyeball the center of that hole and measure from the inside of this pin to the center of that hole. Set the calipers that way, and then come over here and do the same thing and find out, oh yeah, that's not centered. Oh. Oh, I'll tell you what, it gets worse. These pins aren't even straight. These pins are not straight. Why on earth would that be? So by design, is the bottom of that beveled a little bit? I don't suppose this is marked front and back by any chance. Oh no, that'd be too easy. Alright. How about underneath these gaskets marked? Nope. Alright. I have to do this the hard way. So, if that goes to the center of the hole, so this hole is closer to this. You can double check that, but I'm pretty sure, yeah. So this is from the inside of the pin to the edge of the hole. This hole is just a hair closer to this pin than this one. So it's closer to this pin. Remember that. It's closer to this pin. It's funny, there's actually a mark on the top here. I wonder whether or not this was ever installed by somebody previously the wrong way, because there's a black mark right there on this yellow spacer or whatever this is. Almost to indicate to me like maybe that was covering. Yeah. Alright, so now I'm looking at the oiler here, and what I'm going to try and do is measure. That's going to be tricky. How am I going to do that? I want to measure where that hole is in conjunction to these holes. So, oh, I know what to do. So what I could do is I can take these and I can put one of these points right on the center, or what I believe to be the center of the fitting there. Oops. So, I'm gonna put these a lot closer together. Alright, so that, I believe that corresponds to the center of that fitting to the center line of where that pin, where the hole that pin engages is. And I'll just rotate this around this side and see that it's too close to call. So that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Oh, how about move this out of here. How about I take a measurement from the center there. Alright, that looks like I'm on the center line of that hole and the center of that fitting there. Flip it over, and now this pointer doesn't look like it's pointing to the center of that hole, which would indicate the distance from the center line of this to the center line of this hole is longer. This is the longer distance. This is the shorter distance. So to the back is shorter. So it should go in this way, I think. Pretty sure. You know, with these pins being tilted like this, the reality is, if I put it in the wrong way, so to speak, I wouldn't think those holes would line up. Alright. Just scratch the tiny R on there, because this is the way I believe it's supposed to go, but just for the heck of it, I'm going to try and put it in this way to see whether or not it would go backwards if you allow it. I want to see whether or not it's physically possible to put this in backwards. This is a trick. Some kind of trick. Oh, bad finger. Alright, so I think I just proved that you can't put that in backwards. That's not good. Sure looks like the oil hole is closer to the rear pin than the front pin, which is what I had already deduced, I believe. Yeah, I'm satisfied that it has to go in this way. I really need to get another set of these. These are metric, that's why they're not working. I don't know why those pins looked a little bent. Or was slanted by design, I don't know. I'm just wondering if that's why these hex head bolts are going a little tight. Alrighty, we're good. I've already cleaned up the lead screw assembly. Got any swarf off of it, and actually it was in excellent condition, so that was a good thing. That's right, gotta think backwards. And I could just sit there and screw this thing in like that, but it's actually just going to be easier for me to push the whole saddle back. Now there are two pins on this that line up with holes there. Of course the line there tells me that that's going to be the side that faces up. So I'm going to take off this screw and washer for the handle. Take off this locking collar. There's a single plastic washer, just like on the knee. Then the dial comes off. But unlike the knee, there aren't two plastic washers on the inside here. So I'm thinking they're missing. The other thing that's interesting to me is that these pins are able to just slide right out the back. What's supposed to hold those on? What's supposed to keep those pins from just doing whatever they want to do? I should have moved the camera to show you what I was doing, but basically this assembly goes on here and there are two pins that sit in here, but when I went to push it in, the pins actually started coming out the holes this way. So I was wondering what keeps those pins from coming out. The dial's hollow here, so they could just basically come out and fall into this area behind here, which makes no sense. I don't get it. Well, alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the screws in for that, which I just realized I left over there. Oh, you know what I noticed when I was over there getting these screws? I had these screws labeled, so I know these screws go to this, but I found these two pins. You know, that's bugging me now because I'm wondering whether or not there were two pins that held the way this collar is held on, and these two pins center it. I'm wondering if there's two holes behind here for these two pins that I missed. These also could be pins that are used for locating the retainer for the lead screw for the table. So I'm not going to panic just yet. Unlike the other one where I didn't want to tighten down any one screw completely until I had all four of them started, this one I'm more confident I'm going to have no trouble getting them all in because of those two locating pins. So that's all the more reason to suspect that I'm missing locating pins there and that these might be the ones. So I'm going to take that off. The other reason I'm going to take that control off on the knee there, just the dial, is I recall that on the on this outer shaft here for the knee, there were two plastic washers on the back and one plastic washer on the front. This one has just one plastic washer that was on the front and there was no plastic washer on the back. I don't believe, because these are just plastic or nylon, I don't believe these serve any critical dimensional purpose like a shim. I believe all that these are there for are to ease the rotation, to give a little bit of lubricity. Yeah. Basically to protect this from wear. So I think that there should be one on each side of this. So I think somebody had this apart and inadvertently put two on there. So I'm going to put this one that was on the front on the back, and then I'm going to open that up like I said on the knee and steal the double one, take one of those double ones out, and put it on this one. Now everything was going swimmingly until I decided to put that stupid, there we go, that plastic washer is just a tiny bit large. Okay. Alright, I think we're looking good now. Alright. Alright, so now that goes on there. That goes on. The other thing I can do is, while I have this dial off, to sort out my washer madness, I can see if there's any holes for pins. So that's a kind of a thick washer on the front. And 2 in the back. Okay, there are holes there for pins. And these pins fit. Okay, so we're going to put these pins in here. Question is, are they going to go in? Where that's not, I got to loosen. I'm going to have to loosen these screws. So I'm going to loosen these screws on this. Just a smidge to allow this collar to move enough so that I can make sure the pins go in the holes. By the way, these pins are going to have the same problem as far as I don't know what's supposed to keep them in there. There's one. There's 2. That one's a little more stubborn. Yeah, so of course with those 2 locating pins in there, these screws are going to be, these screws would have been a piece of cake to get to line up. But I didn't have that hard of a time doing it anyways. I just basically shifted the collar around until I could get one screw started. But that's why I couldn't tighten any one screw down all the way until I had them all started, because of the absence of the locating pins. Okay, collar, plastic washer, locking nut, oh, that little singing. Why is that so hard? That doesn't feel good at all. Oh my goodness, what's that just happened there? That collar just, oh, no. You gotta be kidding me. I can't unscrew this now. What the heck did I just do? That seems okay. Oh man, I really did something wrong here. I can't unscrew this now. How the heck did I manage to do that? Hey, you remember when I was saying I didn't think those 2 plastic washers had any kind of critical action as like a shim? So unfortunately I've got another corrupt video file. As you can see, the last video clip there just locked up at the end. And what you would have seen if the video hadn't become corrupt is that I ended up going back, I ended up finally getting that, I ended up having to put a rag on that friction nut and a pipe wrench on it. So I used the rag so I wouldn't scrape it up really badly to get it loose. And once I got it all apart, I took the other one back apart, I put all the plastic washers back in the way they were when I took it all apart, and everything seems to be okay now. I don't understand why one has less plastic washers than the other. I still think I'm missing something in there, and I'm not positive exactly what the order of assembly should be on there, where the thin washer or the thick washer goes. All I know is that putting it together the way I had it was definitely not the way to go.
the friction nut ended up locking on, and as you saw, I couldn't even undo it. And then also something weird ended up happening where it was very hard to turn. The dial was actually really tight, I think, against the housing or something. So that's going to be it for this video, and the next video, which is going to be part 23, I'm going to start to tackle installing the head unit back onto the Wells Index mill. Take care.